Attentive Teaching, advocating calm, cultivating resilience.
The Attentive Teaching blog brings you weekly posts by teachers for teachers to help create a peaceful and safe classroom for your students and yourself. Visit attentiveteaching.com for more blog posts and resources. We hope you enjoy this narrated selection from the Attentive Teaching blog. Can history teach our students to empathize? I'm Cindy Schwartz, and it's all in the way you approach it. We can teach empathy in our classrooms if we utilize specific activities that will enable students to understand how it feels to walk in someone else's shoes. For example, how did Abraham Lincoln feel when he learned about the first shot at Fort Sumter that started the Civil War? And what went through Teddy Roosevelt's mind when the government of Colombia refused his offer to buy the Isthmus of Panama in 1902 so he could build a canal? Did President Harry Truman feel guilty about his decision to drop the first atomic bomb on Hiroshima in 1945? And how did George W. Bush feel when he learned that there were no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq after he had used that as one of his justifications for sending troops to Iraq in the years following 9/11? Posing these questions to students and allowing time for quality research and deep conversations about the research findings can help them become more mindful and empathetic about historical events and the people who are responsible for many of them. In 2013, Social Studies Research and Practice, a historical organization, defined teaching history empathetically in this way. They said it is an understanding about how people from the past thought, felt, made decisions, acted, and faced consequences within a specific historical and social context. However, some historians and some scholars think that there is more to it than that. According to Jason Endicott, an assistant professor of secondary education at the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and Sarah Brooks, assistant professor of education at Elmhurst College in Elmhurst, Illinois, there are 3 steps that teachers need to take when they are teaching history empathetically. Number 1, teachers need to help students become aware of historical contextualization. Students need to consider how living in the past time period was different from living today. Number 2, teachers must help students understand perspective by giving them an understanding of a past person's way of thinking within their respective time period. And number 3, teachers must help students have what's called an effective connection, which means that students must see a connection between the emotional life of the historical figure and their own life. It has to become personal in order for them to feel empathy. That advice gives us food for thought. Teaching history empathetically is possible. In my 30 years of teaching social studies, I've noticed that helping students to experience the events rather than just hear about the facts cultivates this empathetic mindset that we're looking for. So here are some practical ideas. I've tried all of them in my classrooms, and I have been successful with all of them. Mock trials. Why don't you try them? Do a mock trial about famous cases like the case of Sacco and Vanzetti. How about debates? Debate about historical issues like slavery. How about some role plays? Role play Teddy Roosevelt while he's reading correspondence from Upton Sinclair on the state of the meatpacking industry in the United States at the turn of the century. How about creating poster art? The Spanish-American War, yellow journalism, perfect opportunity for that. Listening to and composing music representative of the time period being studied, perfect. Students will love it, and get yourself a record player. The kids love to learn how it works. So these are but a few of the ways that students can put themselves in the shoes of those historical figures that they are studying. And once they can do that, they'll be on track to take a more hands-on role in understanding the various relationships and current events that occur in their own lives. In the words of iconic education philosopher John Dewey, school must represent life. Life is real and vital to the child, as that which he carries on in the home, in the neighborhood, or in the playground. And really, in the end, teaching history empathetically is simply teaching about real life.